Hello, Divine Creators. How are you? This is Rachel Claire, the BoulderPsychic.com, joining you today, December 27th. It is a Wednesday, and we are in that precious space between holidays and family and all that sort of hubbub and the New Year. And I'm joining you from my home of Boulder County, Colorado. And it is cold outside. There is snow on the ground. It is a great time of year to really slow down and really just be with our energy and create intentions. And so I wanted to just join with you and share a little bit about how I'm doing that and hear about how you're doing and what you're up to. So if you're joining in, please let me know that you're here. Say hello, like it, so I know that you're here. And I'm going to be talking about how to clear our energy after we've been with family and friends over the holidays, how to just move whatever's in your space that's foreign energy and not your energy out of your space. Why would we want to do that? Because you cannot function off of someone else's energy. So if you're in this group, you might be a psychic, a healer, an intuitive, a highly sensitive person, an empath. And if you take on the energy of other people's feelings and you know how they feel, then you got to move it out, because you can't heal what's not yours and you can't create with what's not yours. So let's join together today and let us clean and clear our space so that we can come back into being really anchored and grounded in the center of ourselves and in our own vital energy, okay? So if you're joining us, let me know that you're here. Say hello, like it. If you have a question, a comment, a concern, please type it. I'd love to share with you. So I'm back home. I left for the holidays. I just went down south to Denver to my mom's home. But that's why I'm here today, because being with my family drives me crazy. So I don't know about you, but my story is, just to tell you what I mean by that a little bit, is that I grew up as a very sensitive person, okay? I did not know I was a psychic as a child. I just knew that I was not like my family, and I was very sensitive, and I did not fit in. And so my family, they are very loud, and they are very sarcastic, and basically they just make fun of you and laugh at everything you say and turn it into a joke. Hi, Kelly. And then if they tell you, if you are trying to tell them something important or you get upset or whatever, they just, think you're a wussy and you need to toughen up. So I spent my younger years going to holidays and like going into my bedroom and crying. Hello, Lorraine, welcome. And now that I'm an adult, and I'm older, I can deal with it better. I know how to set my energy and set my space, but I still felt hit like a truck after spending time with my family. So it's never perfect. No matter how great you are with working with your own energy, being grounded, being anchored in the body, being present, being behind your third eye, setting your auric boundaries, setting your intentions, calling on the angels, you are still going to sometimes be knocked off center, and that's just normal. Part of what I teach as a psychic healer is about you, teaching you the tools that I know, if you don't know them, that help you get in the body, present and anchored and grounded. Because the more that we do that, the less we'll be tossed off our center. But it's not perfection, right? So it's an art and it's a science. And hi, Donna, welcome. So thank you for saying hello. Thank you for liking and letting me know that you're here. Feel free to ask any questions that you have. I'm going to share with you a couple little secrets. Maybe you know them, maybe you don't. Leave a comment. Let me know if you've ever heard of this or you've done it or you've never done it. So here's what I do when I want to clear people out of my space, okay, right? So I'm home from the holidays. I've been with my family. I want to get their energy out of my space. Well, I make sure that I'm grounded. So go ahead and do this with me as you're listening. Imagine that there's a beautiful ancient tree trunk out in front of you, and just pull it toward you till you're seated upon it, and see that it connects in at the base of your spine, and then it goes all the way down to the center of the earth, and make it as wide as your hips. This is your grounding cord, and the more that you imagine these beautiful grounding cords, which you can make any flavor, color, or style you want, then the more that you are going to be using your clairvoyance and developing it. So see yourself grounded to the center of the earth with a huge ancient redwood. And if you're just joining us, welcome, say hello, let me know that you're here. I'm teaching how to clear our family out of our space. So we want to make sure we're grounded from the root of our spine to the center of the earth with a big redwood as wide as our hips. And we just intend that any energy that's ready to leave our space goes down this grounding cord where she, Mother Gaia, the great earth, will transmute this energy, right? And say hello to cosmic and earth energies, which are always running. But the more that we tap into them and tune into them and validate them and acknowledge them, the more we're cleaning and clearing our own space. So earth energy comes from deep within the earth. It comes in through the feet chakras and our arches. It comes up our legs and it goes into the first chakra and goes down. It just keeps cycling. And you can even bring in any kind of earth energy from anywhere on the planet that you want to. So if you want to bring up some Hawaii energy or Bali or wherever you want to be, bring that succulent divine earth energy up through the feet and bring it up your legs and into your root and let it go back down. It's just giving you a healing. And then say hello to cosmic divine earth energy. It comes in through the crown of the head. It goes down the back body, comes and picks up 20% of that earth energy. And it comes up the front, giving your chakras a healing. And then it goes out the top of your head like a whale spout. And you just validate and acknowledge that it's there. And with all of these exercises, you want to be like kindergarten about your life, right? It's play, it's easy, it's not difficult. Your intention is enough. That's what's so important to remember as you're doing this work. So we just start to get into our own energy and our own space, and it should start to feel good. You're grounded, you're anchored, you're running earth energy, you're calling in cosmic energy. Now check in with your auric bubble. Make sure it's a good distance all the way around you. I like an arm's length above, below. And bring in some golden soapy bubbles and give it a nice good clean out. To bring in your fairies and your guides. Check your aura. Make sure there's no tears, no rips. If you've been hanging out with family, if you've been hanging out with people who really trigger you, knock you off your center, drive you crazy, then this is for you, okay? So bring in that beautiful golden energy. And then now it's the best part, okay? So your whole holiday experience, whatever it was or wasn't, I want you to imagine out in your space that you have a big rose, okay? And I just want you to put everything that the holidays were or weren't for you into that rose, all the energy, everybody that you saw, just let it be vacuumed up like a vacuum. It's just sucking out the energy. And then you're going to imagine when it's full that you send it out to the center of the universe and you pop it. Okay, so the more that you're doing that, and the more you're imagining this and even seeing it pop, you're working with your clairvoyance. You're developing your clairvoyance, okay? So now think of a person. All right, the first person you thought of. Make a rose in your space. Put their face on that rose and send all of their energy into that rose. Let it be vacuumed up. And then go ahead and create roses inside your aura for everyone else that you have been with this morning, today, yesterday, over your holiday, anyone that you've been with. Give them a rose with their face on it and let their energy be sucked back into this rose, okay? And then send it out to the center of the universe and pop it. And you can keep doing this, and you're not hurting them, you're not hurting yourself, you're not being mean, you're not invalidating them, none of that. It's actually going to be healthier for your relationship because you're going to take whatever projections and feelings and judgments or whatever has come up for you, you're cleaning and clearing out. So you're allowing them to show up as they are more in your space, but you're also clearing out any of their energy that you've absorbed, because pretty much probably all of you are healers, intuitives, psychics, empaths, people who are healing by being with other people. You're taking on their energy and then you feel how they feel. And you want to make sure that you're cleaning and clearing their space out, because you can only ever work off of your own energy, and your energy should feel good to you. And so if you're not feeling good and you've been around a bunch of people and you're feeling kind of blah, chances are you've got their energy in your space. So if you create a rose and you put their picture and their energy into that rose and you send it out, you are cleaning your space, you're giving them back their energy, and you are going to feel better, because you cannot heal what is not yours. So if you keep trying to heal yourself and you're not healing, my question to you is it yours? Is it your energy? Because you cannot heal what is not yours. So my friends, you who are getting these diseases like fibromyalgia or these sort of mystery illnesses where you're feeling a lot of pain, my question always is, Are you cleaning and clearing your space? Are you getting rid of that other people's energy in your space, right? That's so important. And today I want to share with you, I'm going to read out of this book. It's such a great text. Marianne Williamson's The Law of Divine Compensation on work, money, and miracles. And I want to share with you some things that she thinks. It's going to really help you on your healing journey. And so, Lorraine, you said, sounds like my family. They're all poo-poo on your sensitivity and emotions, right? So if this is you, if you can relate to this, if you've always been this sensitive sort of healer type, and you've just been with your family or friends, and you've been around people for the holidays, I'm here to teach what I most need to learn, and that's why I'm teaching and reminding us all today to clean and clear our space and come back into center and to have correct perception, because oftentimes the people that are around us are not validating who we really are, and they're not really good sources of information to listen to about who we really are and what's really possible in our lives. So leave me a message. Let me know if you are familiar with A Course in Miracles or Marianne Williamson or The Law of Divine Compensation. I am a student of the Course. And A Course in Miracles is not a religion. It's not, any sort of thing like that. It's just it's a text with teachings about correct perception. And I'm going to go ahead and take this moment. I hope you'll all bear with me. I'm going to read to you from this text because it is so super powerful, okay? And I'm going to start by this great place I already picked out for you because it's just really going to help us. So if you think of yourself as being at the effect of a random universe that does not care about you, then you will experience your life that way. If you think of yourself as being at the effect of a loving universe that does care about you, then you will experience your life that way. No matter what is happening in our lives, we choose how we wish to think about it. And the greatest gift we give ourselves is often our willingness to change our minds. Despite what might seem to be the saddest and most intractable situation, we have the power to believe that something else is possible, that things can change, that a miracle can happen. This simple shift in how we think can make all the difference in what happens next. How we think releases an infinite number of possibilities that could not have occurred had we not believed they were possible. Such is the power of our thoughts to attract as well as to deflect miraculous breakthroughs, right? So this is so true. I'm here today to talk to you about, creating miraculous breakthroughs, because whatever happened for you around the holidays, it's got so much stuff. It's like how you're supposed to be, how you're not supposed to be, how you're supposed to look, how you're not supposed to look, what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do, the gifts you're supposed to give, what you're not supposed to do, how much money you're supposed to have. There's so much, right? So I'm going to use a fun tool from Access Consciousness. It's really quick. Would you be willing to uncreate and destroy all of the energy around the holidays and everything that brings up times a godzillion? Yes? Good, bad, right, wrong, pod, poc, all nine shorts, boys, and beyonds. We just uncreate and destroy through all time, dimensions, space, and realities all the judgments, perceptions, expectations that are put upon us or that we come up with ourselves around this time of year and what we're supposed to do and who we're supposed to be, who we're supposed to be with, how we're supposed to look, how much money we're supposed to have. Let's just uncreate and destroy all of it times a godzillion. Pod Poc. Okay? It's a powerful tool from Access Consciousness, goes around the conscious mind to get at the point of creation and point of destruction of all these programs, right? Because the truth is that we can create what we want in our lives by how we think. And what's really most important is that, right? It's being internal, changing our perception, and actually manifesting what we want in our life instead of getting sucked into other people's expectations of what we should have in our life, like our family, or like the commercials, right? So, free will means you can think whatever you want to think. You cannot, however, make untrue what is true or true what is untrue. The universe does care about you. The universe is set up to work on your behalf. And the universe is capable of bringing miraculous transformation to any situation of brokenness or lack. Regardless of what has happened in your life, The universe is able and prepared to bring you comfort and repair. Okay? So wherever you are right now, whatever has happened to you in your life, the universe is able and prepared to bring you comfort. And so she says, you are loved and your purpose is to love. And from a mind filled with love comes the power to create infinite possibilities. We have the power to think in ways that reflect and attract all the love in the world. And such thinking is called enlightenment. And enlightenment is not a process that we work toward, but a choice available in any instant. Like right now, we can choose for love. We can choose to be loved. And A Course in Miracles says that a miracle is just correct perception. And that basically we're always either choosing for love, or we're being loved, or we're being a call for love. So everyone that you're seeing in your life that is not treating you in a way that you desire, they're being a call for love. They're having a misperception. They're in fear. They're perceiving a sense of lack. But the truth is that we can change our minds, right? So there's this other great book. It's called The Way of Mastery. Let me know if you're with me and if you've read this book or ever heard of it. It's pretty powerful. And it says, if you do not bring forth what is within you, what is within you will destroy you. And I tell this to people all the time because this comes up in readings. You don't have to use your gifts. You don't have to do that. But if you do not bring forth what is within you, if you do not find some way to express your purpose, and your purpose is love, if you do not find a way to really be who you truly are and express that and share that, then it will destroy you, right? If you bring forth what is within you, though, it will save you. So that's why I think a lot of people who are suffering from mysterious illnesses and fibromyalgia and things like this, these are like healer diseases. I find that people who have this are often really powerful, sensitive empaths, healers, people who heal by virtue of just being around people. But if you're not fully in touch with what fulfills you and actively validating and acknowledging that and doing that, if you're having any sense of unfulfillment in your life, then it's going to manifest in these other forms, right? So this is great because I'm just going to go like, let's go Merry Christmas to death. Ready? If you do not bring forth what is within you, and what is within you is love, it is Christ consciousness, you will feel burdened and unfulfilled. And usually most human beings go through their entire life with a sense of unfulfillment, lamenting what the world has done to them, lamenting the decisions and choices that they've made in the past. So we become burdened by what is on the outside, along with what is in the past. And then eventually the body dies and the spirit withers on the vine. So I'm reading this and I'm sharing this with you today, right? Because I just came from being with my family. And after being with my family, I really want to be like, you jerks, you assholes. Because my family is so mean to me. They laugh at me. They make fun of me. My sensitivity, my spirituality, being a psychic, it is so beyond anything that they understand. So they just make fun of me. They're sarcastic. You know, they don't listen to me. And so I have to come back home and I have to do the work and I have to remind myself of why I'm really here, because it's not about what we see in the outer world. So that's what I'm getting to here. So it says, at death, another quantum leap occurs that is shocking as we discover ourselves to be popped back into another vibrational state that often triggers great fear. Very few beings upon our human plane have entered death consciously. It is indeed time, especially for those of us who are reading this lesson, to simply make a decision. I will enter into the transition called death with a deliberate consciousness. I will make sure by beginning now that I carry no resentment, that I have forgiven everyone of everything. And as the body does enter that state, I will release the world and require nothing of it. I will not long to run off in freedom, but I will experience death consciously. I will notice the subtle energy changes as I flip from this dimension to another at the speed of light. So that is the point of it all, right? Our meditation, our spirituality, recognizing ourselves as a spirit and not the body, is ultimately preparing us for death. It is preparing us for the next level. It is preparing us for the afterlife, for the next vibration. And as long as we continue to blame and resent and be angry and engage with the third dimension reality as if it is real. And as long as we are not being fulfilled by being who we really are, which is love, and as long as we are angry and projecting and blaming and resenting, and we have not forgiven those that are around us in our family and in our past, we're screwed. We don't enter into death consciously. We come back into the karmic cycle of samsara. We keep reenacting all of our karmic ties with everybody over and over, and we're stuck in suffering for all eternity. And that's hell. That is hell on earth. And we can make heaven on earth by simply recognizing that it is our mission as spiritual beings here to awaken, to begin to recognize that we have to forgive everyone for everything, that we cannot hold on to that resentment. And here's how you can get into this sort of forgiveness. So come to understand at this stage of our journey the true immensity of who and what you are. Understand that you are not so much dealing with things in the world as you are dealing with patterns of energy that reflect in some way what is already occurring in your consciousness. If you are experiencing things in the third dimensional plane, it can only mean that you have chosen to vibrate at a certain frequency, or otherwise you would not be having that experience, right? So I have to acknowledge for myself, when I go home to my family and they treat me what I think is poorly, and then I get all upset and judge them, then I have to remember that what I am seeing is a reflection of my own consciousness. It's like on a screen. The 3D reality is showing me what is unhealed in my mind. It's an error in perception. And a correct perception, being love, is a miracle, is what will change it. So let me go on to say that. So you cannot have the experience that you are having unless it's in your own consciousness. Right? You could not have the experience of running into a wall with your body unless you were vibrating at the same rate as the wall. So is it possible to change the vibrational frequency of your physical body? Listen very carefully. I'm going to say something rather unique. No, it is not possible to change the physical vibration of your body. It is only possible to change your consciousness. The vibration of your consciousness, out of which your body has emerged. Did you get that? I'm going to say that again. You can only change your physical consciousness, and your body has emerged out of your consciousness, your mental consciousness. You created your body. That is why I always say, heal the spirit, and the spirit heals the body. You are not your body. You are a spiritual being. You are a consciousness out of which your body has been created. So if you are starting to have these physical diseases and things showing up, it is simply an error in your consciousness. It is an error in the mind. This is not an easy pill to swallow. I know this is radical responsibility. You know, people have been killed for saying kind of stuff like this. This is blasphemy. What is that book? I need to buy it. I'm craving for knowledge. Taryn, welcome to the most advanced spiritual text I have ever found. The Way of Mastery. You can only buy it on the Shanti Christo Foundation website, as far as I am aware. It is a Course in Miracles type text. It is a channeled text. It is apparently the channeling of Jesus Christ, Christ consciousness, okay? So, this requires a turning about in the seat of the soul. It is a changing of the momentum of consciousness, okay? It's not about being outward, it's about turning inward. It's not as an escape from the world. It is not something you have to do all day, every day, but you spend time in prayer and meditation, you spend time in forgiveness, you spend time breathing and relaxing. So if you are dealing with toxic people, if you are dealing with people, your family, who drives you bonkers. My family, oh my God, can't believe I didn't end up in a mental institution. I have to come back home after the holidays, and I have to read my spiritual texts, and I have to get grounded and centered in my own truth and my own knowing, and I have to remember who I am and what I'm here for. And that's why I'm sharing this with you today, right? Because we most teach what we most need to learn. And so I'm sharing with you that the way that we manifest, the way that we heal our relationships, is that we begin to not face outward and try to fix or change things out there, deal with the third dimension like it's actually real. It's not. It is sort of this manifestation projection stage where our consciousness is being acted out with karmic ties to all these people that we've been like going through thousands of years with, having all these dramas. And the only way to change it is not to engage with it out there, but to turn inward. So the more that we spend time in prayer and meditation and forgiveness, and the more that we work on forgiving the people in our lives and letting go of all that resentment, right? And I know that that's hard to do, and that's why this is a great book to read, because it'll take you through how to do that. Carol, yes, absolutely. You decided not to be with them to stay safe. Good for you. This is not about like staying in abusive relationships. This is not about like going and being with it and tolerating it. Hell no. Get the heck out of Dodge, right? That's good. So Carol, I'm so glad that you've set those boundaries. You know, boundaries are so important, and I'm working on this too in my own life. And it's about, you know, if we set the boundaries, then we've got to work on the correct perception in our mind. And so this book talks about that all events, and Course in Miracles talks about that all events are actually neutral. And this is a really powerful, potent concept and triggering, right? But it also is helpful because as I look out at the world and I'm like, I just watched something last night on Puerto Rico, and I'm like thinking about, you know, the starving children and everything, like pick a topic, right? Crazy. If I start to believe in the 3D world and engage in that, I'm going to go insane because it's so fucked up. Ronnie, the holiday was more chaos than ever before. It's true because, you know, people are not conscious, you guys. They're not conscious. They're not coming together conscious. Sometimes you are not even dealing with people who are like in their body. Sometimes you're dealing with family and friends. If they're doing any sort of drugs, which it appears that a good majority of the country is, you know, and we're having all these like the opioid crisis and stuff. Other entities come into people's body. People aren't even present. They're not aware. They have old tapes running, and people don't know who they are. People don't know who they really are. Who we really are at our essence is a spiritual force of love, as God made us to be, here to express the beautiful and the holy. That is not how people are acting out there, right? So we have to pull away and stop trying to engage so much and believe so much and pay attention so much, but pull back and look upon all events as neutral. Imagine that we're all actors on a stage playing out karmic things, and it's not real. I think that's one thing we have to start to engage with. It's not real. That's why I'm not really that big into like activism, or I'm not going to, you know, I love it. I love that people are doing that, but I think it's going to be a change in the mind. It's a change in perception. The more people pull back in and begin to work with their own mind, the more healing we have. So I don't think you have to go and march in the streets, although you can, and sometimes that's called for, and I don't know, that's not my way. What I do is yes, Carol, you know, limit your TV, limit what you watch of the news, limit what you're putting into your mind, because as you think, so shall it be. And so it's so important in these times that we're reading spiritual texts, that we're filling our mind with positive things, because if we're engaging in the world and believing what they want to program you about the reality of the world, or if we're engaging in fighting with our family, or we're being in the chaos and we're defending, these are just egos with old karmic ties, acting stuff out, and most of it is subconscious. We don't even really know what's going on. Most people out there don't even realize that the engagement they're having with people is based on past lives. You've got old agreements, you've got old oaths, vows, fealties, communities that you've made in this and other lifetimes, and so much stuff that's going on is from the subconscious. So pull back, right? We pull back and we come into connecting with ourselves, right? There's a point in which we realize that we could keep changing relationships ad nauseum and never get anywhere. We could keep changing, we could move away, at some point, we have to settle down, be with the one we're with or the ones we're with, and utilize our time with them to discover what patterns have been running you, right? So you can set the boundary, you can go away, you don't have to be with them, but at some point you've got to look and see what patterns have been running you. It's time for self-awareness, turning the momentum of the mind back toward the self. Time to ask yourself some questions. Why do I think what I think? Why did I see what I saw? Why did I react the way that I reacted? Because eventually the soul that is truly committed to awakening does not flee uncomfortable situations until it believes it has fully extracted all the wisdom that it can. There is a way of knowing when that occurs. We'll get to that later. But in short, when there is just a quiet sense of peace, and you can look upon the players in the experiences you have just had with perfect equanimity and see them as perfectly innocent, and you detect that there is nothing in the body that is not at peace, the heart is not racing, the shoulders are not tight, you truly understand that you are not in fear, then you can move on. Then it's time to move on. If there is reactivity in the mind because of anything that emerges in your relationship with your brothers or sisters, rest assured the lesson is not complete. If your principles have been violated, rest assured there is much to learn. Okay? Remember always that all events are neutral. In large measure, the process of awakening is a process whereby you dissolve the value you have placed upon certain ideas and perceptions of what life is and what life is for. Yes, there are times you will be troubled as you come to realize that what you thought the world was for and everything you've been putting your energy into means nothing. Often this precipitates a period of what has been called the dark night of the soul. It is really not the dark night of the soul, it is the dark night of the ego and the healing of the soul. The way of transformation requires utmost personal responsibility, utmost personal dedication. No one can do it for you, and the patterns you feel weighed down by, the fears that are yet within the mind, will remain with you for all of eternity until you decide to heal them. From that desire, you will attract the situations, the teachers, the books, and the experiences that provide for you the opportunity to do so. And amen and hallelujah, because every single person watching this right now has asked to heal. Because you wouldn't be here on this live with me, and I wouldn't be sharing with you the way to heal. This book would not have come to you if you have not said, I want to heal. I'm so tired of all this pain and suffering. I'm ready to heal. So, Ronnie, you've been digging in, and you're learning, and you're healing. And you're obsessed with what is left unresolved, right? Because it comes through the DNA, it comes through the lineage, it gets passed down. So good, so true. So there is an acceleration of the healing process only when you completely release any valuation on victimhood. That is the belief that somehow, in some way, someone or something has done something to you. Right? I'm so guilty of both. I have a lot of people, I could list them off right now, who have done something to me. Hi, Vikia, welcome. So this is radical responsibility, and this is how we heal. Now, that is a simple thought to hear, and one could nod their head, right? It's another thing to look honestly upon your reactions in life, and to make sure that you are not, at any time, perceiving yourself as a victim. Woo! The practice of extending love can often teach you that this is so. When you take a situation that pushes your buttons, and you decide not to flee, but to stay, this teaches you the truth of your reality. And this is why the practice of forgiveness is so extraordinarily valuable. In fact, you could say that ultimately the practice of forgiveness is the whole of spirituality. Why? because forgiveness means to let the world off the hook. You let the world off the hook. You step out of any sense of victim consciousness, and even beyond that, you forgive oneself for the perceptions they have made in error, perceptions of one's brothers and sisters, of the world, and of God. And that is how you heal. So I'm answering Taryn's question. This is the Way of Mastery, and it is the Shanti Christo Foundation. I give this book to everyone I can. It is one of the most potent spiritual texts I've ever read. It's my Bible. It's my Bible. Lorraine, your 17-year-old daughter breaks your heart every day. She's a sensitive little soul, but completely within herself. She doesn't go out or physically see people apart from you. She sleeps a lot and she takes very long baths. You know, a lot of kids are depressed. She's 17. She's a teenager. She could be depressed. It would be great to get her, to the doctor if you can, and just get a blood test, just so you can take a look at any of those things. Does she have enough vitamin D? I don't know where you live, but we have to really sustain our physical bodies in this reality, so make sure she's actually taking care of her physical body with eating and vitamin D and getting enough light and all of that, and get her blood taken and all of that. And then pray for her, And we can do it right now. We can say, Holy Spirit, Lorraine's daughter, 17, let her join up with the Holy Spirit in the light of God and correct perception. May she be held in the light of God. May she be nurtured and contained, and may she find all the answers. May she come into right alignment with who she is and why she's here. And so pray over her and see her well. And, just be there as a force for her, but don't try to push against it. Because if she knows that you are psychically, or if anyone knows that you are psychically like all up in their business, they're going to naturally push you away, because that's the push-pull dynamic. When you're getting too much up in someone's space, they have to push you away, okay? And so the more, Lorraine, that you can come into your own center and do more of your own meditation and your own breathing and your own being in your own energy and being really grounded, she will learn by example, and then you become the invitation for her to do the same. But the more that you are over there worried and projecting onto her, the more you can't see her, and she's going to push you away. So get the book, The Way of Mastery, start reading, do some meditation and prayer over her, and trust that the universe is self-correcting, that she has her own soul journey, she has her own stuff to work through, but the universe is a benevolent, loving universe that's going to support and sustain her, and trust that, she will come through this. And if she's taking really long baths, great. Give her some Epsom salts. Make sure she's taking salt baths, because she could just be very sensitive and intuitive and a healer, and she's in her teenage years, which is a difficult time. And so, that could be very helpful for her. Teenagers sleep a lot too, but she might be depressed. I think she's depressed. So the way that you could maybe get her help with that, take her to find a doctor or a naturopath, someone that you really trust and like, so you're not trying to push drugs on you, but someone that's really, and tell me where you are, because maybe I have resources for you. It's a difficult time to be a teenager. And you know what, you guys? It's a difficult time to be anybody on the planet, really, but especially a teenager, because their hormones are all wacky. But, slowing down the pace of life is one of my first recommendations. So, like, if I were going to be your coach and I was going to come into your house, Lorraine or anyone, I would first say, what's the status of your house? Do you have a lot of clutter around? Are you being responsible for cleaning and clearing your space, making it sacred space, getting rid of things that are broken that you don't use? How is her bedroom? Does she have too much stuff in her bedroom? Clear out the physical space. Clear out the calendar. We move too fast. We do too much. We overbook ourselves. Cut out the television. Protect her from discovering the outer world. Kids at that age, if they're seeing the news and all that stuff, yeah, they should be sleeping a lot. They should be really fucking depressed. So turn it off. Try to protect them as much as you can. Limit their access to media. Having to give up your long-term career. Woo-hoo! That is a celebration. When spirit comes along and changes your life and makes you give up a long-term career, that means that one door is closing so a new one can open. You're restless. You feel like you're giving up a massive part of your identity. Good. Because you are not your identity. And anything that you are clinging to that you feel gives you that identity needs to go so that you can see the truth of who you really are. So that is a blessing. That's what I think, Pikya. Let me know if I'm saying your name right. Pikya Moon. You're having to give up your long-term career. That means that you are ready to birth the new version of your soul. You are shedding the past. You are shedding the paradigm of the past. You're shedding the expectations of the past and everything that everybody put up on you. And you are coming into your soul fulfillment of waking up and being here to do what you're really here to do, which is probably some form of a spiritual teacher, healer, light being, bringing light to the earth. That is what we are here to do. That is why we're waking up. And Pikya, go back and listen to what I said or get this book, because you will heal when you correct the perception in your mind that you do not have endometriosis. And I know it's so hard to be diagnosed with things, to go through that. I know that what I'm saying is, radical. I'm not. But when you forgive everyone there is to forgive, when you heal all the misperceptions in the mind, when you forgive yourself, when you realize that you are a powerful spiritual being that created your body, and you give up all victim consciousness, that is what it takes to heal. It is not easy. It is not easy, but that is the closest thing to the truth that I know. Lorraine, you're in the UK. I might have a resource for you, someone who works long distance. And Ronnie, your 17-year-old boy, similar, that generation is separated from the world completely. Yeah, there's lots of different accounts that they've come in with different DNA, that they're here for a different purpose. They were born into technology. It's really hard to keep it from them. A lot of them weren't protected in their childhood. Childhood is being taken from children. So if they saw too much too soon, if they had too much TV too soon, they went to public education, honestly. I spent over 10 years in public education. I have a master's degree in education. All I ever wanted to do is be a teacher. I now think that public education really kind of robs children of childhood. There's too much testing. There's too much living life by the bell. There's too much separation from a normal rhythm of life and from your own parents and family. I love crystals, Lorraine. So I think the more that you can set up your home to be a sacred space, the more that you can bring in things from, bring in crystals, bring in plants, bring in things like that will be really helpful, Lorraine. But clutter clearing first, before you start creating the sacred space and bringing in the crystals, because sometimes the crystals are just going to amplify the space. And you want to amplify sacred space. You want to clutter clear. There's a great book. It's over there on my bookshelf. It's one of my favorite books. It's Clear Your Clutter with Feng Shui by Kingston. It's one of the best books. So clear your clutter, then start creating sacred space and using the crystals. And of course, you can wear them on your body or you can put them in your room. Ronnie, it might be your fault, but all events are neutral. And you did the best that you could with what you had, where you were, right? And so don't blame yourself and don't judge yourself, because you're a product of your environment too. So, everybody's going to turn out okay. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. The world is, chaotic, and it's good to protect children of it, to provide, more of a bubble for childhood. Beyond that, we can work on the energy, just work on praying, and you can correct everything in spirit. Yeah, Lorraine, whatever you feel drawn to. Citrine is great because it doesn't absorb the energy. Clear quartz is the same. You can program clear quartz, but citrine really doesn't take it on. Definitely. Okay, good. Wow. Well, that was a long time, I think. It's been like 40 minutes. Hi, Delta. Welcome. So if you have any other questions, let me know. You can type them in. And otherwise, I'm going to be signing off soon. Let's see if there's one final thing to say here. So we were talking about radical forgiveness, requiring, that we let the world off the hook, that we are not in victim consciousness. And that is that ultimately we could really say that the practice of forgiveness is the whole of spirituality, right? So it says ultimately forgiveness is forgiveness of oneself for ever allowing delusion to settle into one's own mind, whereby one perceived oneself as separate from God, separate from brothers and sisters, capable of being victimized. Forgiveness, when completed, is the establishment of love. So, beloved friends, look well then to see, where am I perceiving myself as a victim of the world I see? And am I feeling constrained in my relationship? Do I resent anyone? And this is where to look. Whatever you're wanting to heal in your life, even if it's like your daughter, right, Lorraine? Because everything that's showing up on that screen of consciousness, we can make our reality in the 3D as beautiful and nice as we want, but the error occurred in the mind, right? And same thing, Pikia, with the endometriosis. You want to look and see, where am I harboring resentment? Where am I still perceiving myself as a victim, right? Because your child's not holding where you are. That disease isn't holding where you are. Your spouse isn't. That one does not have the power to take from you your ability to look upon them with love. So just be who you're here to be, which is love, and look upon them with love, and look upon yourself with love, and see them as whole and complete and perfect, right? Is it your job you hate? No one forces you to drive your car upon the freeway to arrive at your place of employment. No one. And you reply, oh, but I must survive. Well, then you've made yourself a victim of the perception of the need to survive. Any one of you at any time is perfectly free to drop the valuation you have placed upon the world. Right? I was once criticized for dropping the valuation that my particular society had sought to implant within me, the valuation that said that a son should follow in the footsteps of the father. That is, if the father is a carpenter, then you have got to take over the family business. I said, but I must be about my Father's business. And I spoke, of course, of my Heavenly Father. Right? So you have to break with the conventions of the world in which you live. Great mantra, Delta. So Pikia, I'm not saying anything to you either that I haven't done. So what you may or may not know is that I was a public school teacher for over 10 years, master's degree, secure position, all that stuff. And I left. I started thinking that I wanted to be a psychic reader, and I completely left my career because I felt so identified to it. I felt so attached to it. It was everything to me. I had always wanted to be a teacher. I identified as being a teacher, I had a master's degree. I got attention for, oh, you're a teacher. People love teachers. And I was like, I quit. I'm done. And I had to really go into my spiritual journey to figure out, who am I if I'm not just being identified by these things? If I'm not a teacher, if I'm not just a mother, who are you? And who ultimately you are is a spirit that is love, that is here to look upon all things with love. And to do that and to heal yourself, you have to heal the error in the mind where you're perceiving yourself in some way as a victim. But you have to be willing to break with the conventions of the world in which you live, right? You have to let the world off the hook. No one and no thing is responsible for your joy, for your happiness, for your peace, right? And you got to cultivate that within yourself. Delta, you left the country when your husband walked out after 20 years. Yes, nobody can make you feel inferior without your consent. Very good. All right, you guys, I have been here for almost 50 minutes. I'm going to sign off for today. Thank you for those of you who chose to join with me and stay here and be with me. We've joined our hearts and minds and soul with the mind of God, and may you go forth and multiply your love. Okay? See you later.